This is only on Facebook Live, so just kind of informal. Just want to talk with you for a little while and explain what's happening in Mississippi and what's moving our way. So as folks join us on Facebook, this is just an update with that. We will be back on TV coming up at 1 o'clock, so another live update at 1 o'clock. We'll also do Facebook Live too. And since you are watching us here on Facebook Live, I do want to remind you that if you lose power today, you can watch us on Facebook Live. So those are multiple ways you can get our weather information is through Facebook Live too, and on TV. We'll be on there as well. So just want to make sure I can see your comments, and I can. So hello to everybody that is joining us on here. If you have any comments or questions, I can answer some of those while we are on Facebook. Now, there are a slew of tornado warnings that have been posted back in Mississippi. In fact, there are multiple tornado warnings. I'll move this out of the way here, and you can see some of those polygons. And what this is back in East Mississippi near Meridian, that is a confirmed large violent tornado that is west of downtown Meridian. That purple polygons, what that represents is a confirmed large dangerous tornado. A tornado warning polygon goes from red to pink to purple depending on the severity of the warning. And again, red polygon means it's radar indicated, but once you get a pink polygon, it means it's confirmed. But once you get a purple polygon, that is an emergency situation with violent tornado down. So let me go back over to the watch and warning map, and I just want to show you what's happening. Got a tornado watch that's been posted for Sumter, Green, Hill, Perry, Dallas, Wilcox, Marengo, Choctaw, and Clark counties. That's across the southwest Alabama, and that is a PDS tornado watch. That's a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch, and what that means is conditions are favorable for long-track violent tornadoes. I think the main threat for that's going to be over Sumter, Marengo, Wilcox, and points south. Now, yes, Green, Hale, Perry, you're also in that PDS tornado watch. The environment is more conducive for these longer track tornadoes the further south you go and the further west you go. Understand there's a warm front somewhere right in here near Geiger, Alabama, Demopolis, and about Camden. North of that warm front, it's cool and stable, but south of that boundary, it is unstable. And that unstable air is conducive to producing tornadoes. Currently 60 in Tuscaloosa. Our air right now is stable. It's raining in spots, but obviously with a temperature of 60 degrees, that's not conducive for a larger tornado. It's going to be a big flooding concern develop out here in North Alabama, especially near north of I-20 over the next several hours. Let me put on the Jackson radar. Just want to show you what's happening west of us, because I know there's a lot of interest in Sumter, Marengo counties, friends down there watching. And these are your storms we're dealing with. And again, you got multiple tornado warnings now in effect for East Mississippi. In fact, just about every county in East Mississippi is now under a tornado warning with multiple polygons that even overlapping. Let's put on, let's see, Jackson radar. And you see all these individual thunderstorms. These are all supercell thunderstorms conducive to producing tornadoes. Every one of these things have a hook on them, and they are moving northeast. So let me pan this off to the north just a bit. There's the confirmed tornado that is now west of Meridian. That's going to scoot across North Lauderdale County. A violent tornado down. My sister lives about right there, just north of Meridian. I spoke with her earlier, and she's ready to take action when that thing gets close to her. I think it's going to miss just to the north. But there's more tornadoes down here that are moving northeast towards downtown Meridian. DeKalb, Mississippi, right there, that's Highway 45, and then you got Sumter County, Alabama. That's Geiger, Livingston, Cuba. Highway 17 runs up and down Sumter County, that West Alabama highway. This is going to be, all these tornadic storms going to be coming up on Highway 17 within the next 45 minutes an hour. So while currently we have no tornado warnings in our area, I think that will be changing pretty quick as these storms move on in. So again, we are strictly on Facebook, and hello everybody that is joining us on Facebook. I'm going to pull my computer over here so I can see questions and comments. I typically don't do this when we're on TV, so since we're just on Facebook, I can be a little more informal and spend a little time with you. That's one thing I love about Facebook Live is we can talk to each other back and forth through this. So questions about the Vance Mercedes plant area. You're okay up there. There's no tornado threat for now for you. I think you're going to stay in stable air. There may be a brief window around 3, 4 o'clock where you could get instability there, but I think that's mainly south of you. you are in the Willowbrook Trailer Park area in Northport, that area typically floods. I would use caution this afternoon, especially after around 4 p.m. as some of that really heavy rain comes in. Could be some flash flooding issues out of that. So again, and let me show you this time frame real quick, and this is a map I've just adjusted recently, so I know now it's coming up on 1 o'clock. So our time frame for West Alabama, we're talking about especially Sumter and Greene counties, western Hale, western Marengo, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. That's your window for severe weather. 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. for central and east Marengo, east Hale County, Perry County, Bibb, Chilton. I've got this up to the Tuscaloosa area. Again, there may be a brief tornado as far north as Tuscaloosa, but the primary concern for that is going to be the furthest south you go. Information online, as always, we're on Facebook Live now. We're going to be on TV coming up in about 10 minutes for an update. And just check it again over in Mississippi. Let me take you back over the watch warning map and show you what we've got back here in central Mississippi. So we have got a slew of tornado warnings. Let me pan this off towards the southwest. You can see where we are talking about. So tornado watch for Sumter, Greene, Hale, Perry, and Marengo. But look at all the tornado warnings back here in northeast Louisiana, Mississippi. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tornado warnings currently in effect there. These are flash flood warnings, the maroon shaded counties. The yellow is a tornado watch, the green is a flood watch, and all of us are under the flood watch, even if you're under the tornado watch. And did another polygon pop up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, still 10 tornado warning polygons. So again, all these are moving northeast, and I know if you are in Tuscaloosa, you're saying, my goodness, all this is coming directly our way. And yes, it is, but the thing is, there's a warm front somewhere right in here. North of that, it's stable. South of that, it's unstable. So the further north you go, the air's more stable here. It's going to rain a lot, lightning and thunder. The weather's going to be messy, but unless that warm front gets to Tuscaloosa, your threat is going to be primarily the south. So what will happen is these storms hit the warm front, they become elevated. They're still thunderstorms, still, cloud ground lightning, dangerous thunderstorms, but in terms of a tornado potential, once it crosses north of that boundary, there's no longer a connection to the surface. So again, we'll watch these storms carefully as they move in. We're going to watch that warm front very carefully as it moves in as well. So, again, I'm going to have to let you go here in just a second because I got to reset for our live cut-in on TV. We will be on Facebook Live too, but let me check where the warm front is now because I am very interested to see where that boundary is. And I tell you what, one good thing about Facebook, wherever you are, step outside if you can and comment where you are and if it feels cool and damp or if it feels warm and humid. Wherever you are, that's where the warm front is if you're warm and humid. You're in unstable air. So I am interested to see who is in unstable air. I'm going to pull up the plot here too. And based on my computer here, the warm front is lined up near the Tombigbee River across East Sumter County down to Demopolis to about Camden. That's according to what I'm seeing here on my data. That's where your front is, and it is slowly moving north. All right. Okay, so Demopolis feels warm, 62 in Northport. That's good. Cool in Gordo. That's good. You're north of the boundary. I bet Butler feels pretty warm. I see somebody commenting on there. Cool and damp in Vance. Okay, I see Moundville kind of sticky but not really cold. So you're close to it. So again, that's what we're dealing with. So we're watching the warm front. We've got a slew of tornado warnings back here in Mississippi. I've got to run real quick. We're going to temporarily get off of Facebook Live. I'll tell you what, Jen, are you in the control room? Steve or Jen? Okay, hey, you know what? We're doing a cut-in coming up. Let's just stay on Facebook Live through this. There's no point in getting off of Facebook and then, because I think we can join TV just fine like that. Okay, so what we're going to do, I know this is a little weird. We're not on TV right now, but coming up at 1 o'clock, we will go on TV. So we're going to stay here on Facebook until we get to that point, and we're going to join TV live. So let's just hang out with each other for a minute. Let me read some of your comments and questions. Hey, yeah, so Tuscaloosa County is not canceling schools. You know, I haven't heard of anything official from that, and Steve in the control room, if you do, let me know. I don't think Tuscaloosa County has canceled. The primary tornado concern is going to be south of Tuscaloosa County. It doesn't mean we can't get one, but that's the current setup. Northport's cool. Got some friends that live near me asking about the weather. Now, I can promise if there's a tornado coming up in my neighborhood, I'm going to let you know about it. I know my wife will be watching. All right, cool in Utah. That's a good sign. Emily's got 67 to Demopolis. I think there's a new tornado warning just I'll pop up down there. You are in unstable air. Birmingham is cool and damp. Yeah, I don't think any of this makes it to Birmingham in terms of the tornadoes. You're going to have a lot of rain up there, but the tornado potential is mainly south of you. Perry County, you're under the tornado watch. You've got a little while to go before it gets to you. I would say probably after 3:30, 4 o'clock before this stuff gets close to you. Brent, you're technically not in the tornado watch, but you're going to be close to that warm front. So, Cottondale, you are dealing with rain primarily. The concern, you know, if the front makes it that far north, yes, you could get into tornado risk, but I think the main concern is going to be south of there. Now, it's going to be a lot of rain if you live in a flood-prone area. Keep that in mind. Livingston, you are certainly in the path of these things. Okay. Hey, Denny, what does it feel like in Demopolis? Seeing people comment that it's getting warm down there in Marengo County. How many tornado warnings do we have now? Good grief. Let me pan this off to the southwest. Again, we're not on TV now. We will be here in about 4 minutes. Let's count these things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tornado warnings now. That is interesting. I don't recall seeing that many tornado warnings in that small of an area in a long time. I've seen that many before, but it's been quite some time. But that is a large number of tornado warnings in a very small area between New Orleans, Louisiana, Hattiesburg, and Meridian, Mississippi. All the red polygons, those are individual tornado warnings. And in fact, I think some of these cover 2 different tornadic storms. Like I know this one up here in Lauderdale County, there's 2 tornadoes side by side there. So there may be more than that in terms of tornadoes. Okay. So what we're about to do, we're about to join TV for a cut-in on TV. We're just going to stay here on Facebook Live. I said there's no point in hopping off of Facebook just yet. We've got a good number of people watching through Facebook. Hey, this is going to be a good source to have, too, if you lose power. We'll be here. Let me just mention for people to the north. Okay, we're about to go on TV, so hang tight, guys. Okay. And hello, TV, for folks that are joining us live on TV. We are also on Facebook Live. We've been spending a little time together through Facebook on our online sources, letting you know what's happening with the severe weather potential. But for folks just now joining us on TV, we're coming up on 1 o'clock now, and this is a live severe weather update. So we have a tornado watch in effect for our southwest Alabama counties. We've got Sumter, Greene, Hale, Perry, Marengo counties. Also includes Dallas, Wilcox, Monroe, Clark, Washington, and Choctaw counties. Now, this is a PDS tornado watch. This means it's a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch. This is an elevated type of threat for multiple tornadoes back in Mississippi. We now have 11 tornado warnings back in Mississippi. In fact, I can't really recall a time where I've seen so many tornado warnings in such a small general area, but there is a slew of tornado warnings lined up across northeast Louisiana, in south Mississippi, and east Mississippi. And again, we do note some of these polygons are getting awfully close to Sumter and Choctaw counties in West Alabama. Now to the north, I know if you are in Pickens, Tuscaloosa, Bibb, and Chilton counties points north, we are not underneath that tornado watch. It does not mean that you are not in a threat. but currently the threat is primarily to the south for now. There's a warm front that's draped across southwest Alabama, somewhere near Livingston, Demopolis, and Camden. South of that is very warm, it's humid. North of that, it's cool and damp. And again, as that front moves north very slowly, we've only got a narrow window where there could be tornadoes in that zone. So our time frame, I want to show you that. First off, Tuscaloosa is up to 61 at the Tuscaloosa airport. Here's a look at the radar. You see quite a bit of rain out there stretching back into Mississippi. You see all these tornado warnings back here in central Mississippi. And the Storm Prediction Center, what they did, they increased the risk level to moderate for Sumter, Marengo, Wilcox Point South, as that's a zone where there could be some violent tornadoes today. And that's the area we're really concerned about for that. Further north you go, the severe weather risk greatly drops off once you get north of that boundary. Here's our timeline, and again, we're looking at basically now through about 6 p.m. for areas west of Greensboro, west of Demopolis. East of Demopolis, east of Greensboro, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's your window of opportunity when you could see severe weather in your area. So that's what we're talking about. I do want to remind you, too, that we are also on Facebook Live. And I'm just checking our Facebook Live. I got it over here on my computer, and a lot of folks asking questions, and we got comments about what's happening in southwest Alabama. Temperatures continue to rise, especially over Sumter and Marengo counties. As temperatures rise there, you're going to be in that environment. You could see some tornadoes today. 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. So now through about 8 p.m. is your window. In fact, we'd probably say 2 to 8 p.m. now. I think you've got at least an hour in Marengo County before anything gets close to you. Information online, Facebook and Twitter. Also to remind you, our Facebook Live. You can watch us on there. We will be nonstop on TV and Facebook if we get a tornado warning. We'll do cut-ins top of the hour and let you know what's happening with that. So again, quickly, just want to bring back up a radar, and let me go back over to, tell you what, let's go to our radar out of Jackson. And I just want to look at these storms about to move into West Alabama before we do go back over the program. And let's make sure we don't have an imminent tornado warning about to be issued for Sumter or Marengo. And again, here's your tornadic storms back here in East Mississippi. And I would say by 1:30 to 1:45, we should have a tornado warning for Sumter, Choctaw, closer to 2:30 before we get something from Marengo. So these storms are moving on in. So what we'll do is we'll take a break. We'll come back here at 1:30 for live severe weather update. We're also going to take a break from Facebook Live, and we'll be back here at 1:30. If we have a tornado warning, we'll join in program. We'll break in program, and we'll go on Facebook Live and give you that latest information. So again, update coming up in about 28 minutes. We'll see you then. And a good Wednesday afternoon to you. Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott here. We are on television and Facebook Live. I want to give you an update of what's happening with the severe weather potential today. We have a tornado watch in effect for Sumter, Green, Hale, Perry, Dallas, also Wilcox, Marengo, that's Clark County, that's Choctaw counties in southwest Alabama. This tornado watch is a PDS tornado watch, which means it's a particularly dangerous situation. This is an issuance from the Storm Prediction Center and the National Weather Service offices in Birmingham and other regional offices as well. And again, the tornado watch is for areas south of Tuscaloosa. It doesn't mean that Tuscaloosa has no threat for severe weather, but the primary concern and the primary risk for a tornado is going to be in that tornado watch box area over the next several hours. Here's a look from Fayette. I want to show you this because the temperature there is at 57 now. You are cool and stable. You'll get a lot of rain this afternoon, but in terms of unstable air, it will stay south of you. Tuscaloosa from Brian Denny, the temperature is 60 now. And again, we're in cool, stable air here in Tuscaloosa. The warm, unstable air remaining just to our south. I want to take a look at radar, and again, we've got this big mass of rain and thunderstorms back in Mississippi spreading into West Alabama. So if you live in a flood-prone area over the next several hours, use extreme caution. We're going to have some problems with flooding. So again, all this rain that's building northeast will cause some issues across portions of central and west Alabama. We got some supercell thunderstorms back in East Mississippi. These storms have been showing a sign of becoming a little more disorganized. Some of these have, but not all of them. There's still quite a number of tornado warnings back in East Mississippi, and those are posed to move into West Alabama. And what's happening is there's a warm front that's draped across Sumter and southern portions of Greene County, southern Hale County, southern Perry County, and West Dallas County. South of that boundary, you're warm and unstable. North of that boundary, things are a little more stable. We'll put on the radar out of Jackson. Now let's just look at that together. And again, quite a number of tornado warnings back in Mississippi. I see an observed tornado north of Hattiesburg. The red polygons representing tornado warnings that are radar indicated. We had a storm that's this one right here north of Lauderdale County. Again, that's in Kemper County, Mississippi. This was a confirmed tornado earlier, but it has shown sign of weakening. Fortunately for friends in Sumter County, that's good news, but doesn't mean you're out of the woods. We've still got quite a few storms to go. And again, the storm mode is not as classic as it was about 30 minutes ago. If you're watching at 1 o'clock, these supercell thunderstorms were incredibly well organized, had well-defined hooks, had several confirmed tornadoes, and now we're beginning to see these storms a little more disorganized. Now, that doesn't mean we're out of the woods at any means. That means just at least conditions are not as spooky as it was earlier in terms of the number of tornadoes back in Mississippi. At one point, there were 13 tornado warnings across southeast and portions of northeast Louisiana, southeast Mississippi. Again, we still have a number of those tornado warnings. In fact, let's look at the polygons and just see what we've got out there now. And again, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tornado warnings there, and none in Louisiana. So again, compared to 13 earlier, that is somewhat of an improvement. However, doesn't mean that Sumter, Marengo, Greene, Hale, Perry counties, you're okay, as we have these storms still coming our way. Again, the instability is going to continue to increase across our southwest counties. That's why Tuscaloosa and points north is not under the tornado watch, because conditions are not favorable for a tornado in that part of Alabama yet. I don't think that's going to really happen unless a warm front can get further north and hurry. Here's your storms back in Mississippi. There's a little surface low near Jackson that's scooting northeast, and it's creating an environment conducive for producing stronger long-track tornadoes across east Mississippi, and eventually that'll move into southwest and west Alabama. North of that, we're just going to have a lot of rainfall north of that warm front. Flooding is a real concern out there, so again, if you live in a flood-prone area, use caution. SPC, the Storm Protection Center, maintains that moderate risk for Sumter, Marengo, Wilcox, Monroe counties, down to the south to Mobile and Baldwin, down to the Gulf Coast. And in this region, there's your highest potential for tornadoes. Further north you go, the potential for tornadoes is considerably lower. So our time frame now through around 6 p.m. for areas west of Greensboro and west of Demopolis. East of Demopolis, east of Greensboro, your time frame 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. Again, that's when your window is for severe weather. After 8 o'clock, all this will move on out. So again, a reminder, if you lose power today, you can't watch us through television. You can watch us on Facebook Live. You search for the WVUA23 Facebook page. We are on there now. And again, that's what we're looking at there. And I'm just checking some of the comments through our social media, through Facebook, and I don't see anything about schools, so I know some folks are asking about school closures or delays. If you have any kind of a delay or closure at your school, let us know and we'll pass that information along. So quickly, I want to go back over to our radar and show you what we got. And again, here's your thunderstorms moving out of Mississippi into west Alabama. So heads up for Sumter, Choctaw, Marengo counties. At any point, we could get a tornado warning. Hasn't happened yet, but the conditions are favorable down there for a tornado this afternoon. So again, we'll come back here at 2 o'clock, do a live severe weather update. If we have a tornado warning before that, we'll break in the program, let you know about the latest information, stay on nonstop. Otherwise, we'll see you here for a cut-in coming up at 2 p.m. Again, that includes Kemper and Lauderdale counties in Mississippi. So that's where your tornado warnings are right now. Cool and stable in Tuscaloosa and Fayette. Again, we got a lot of rain coming in, but there's your active thunderstorm. So let's go down into this and show you what's happening across our southern counties. Again, for areas like Tuscaloosa, I don't see a current risk for any active tornadoes, but down to the south, that is certainly a different situation for Sumter County. Again, we'll give a heads up for Cuba and Livingston. While there's not formally a tornado warning for you, that is could be changing any second. As Ryan mentioned, there could be a tornado warning added at any time. So let's put on the velocity. I want to look at this thing together. And I do want to mention, too, that we are also on Facebook Live. So if you lose power anytime today and you're dealing with thunderstorms or severe weather, you can watch us on the WVUA23 Facebook page. But that right there is where we're watching. That area of rotation, that's from the Jackson radar side. And again, that's going to be moving right up into the Cuba and York area in Sumter County. And then Livingston and Epps, eventually this thing holds together. So again, just checking with the National Weather Service office in Birmingham, they have not pulled the trigger on the tornado warning just yet. They are watching it very carefully, so we just want to give you an update of what's happening with that. So I also do want to mention that we are on Facebook Live, and while we are on there, I do want to share this with other social media platforms just so you get a chance to find our Facebook Live and our stream of what we are doing. So again, formally no tornado warning yet for Sumter County. That could change at any time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this away. That way, if you're watching or if you can't watch us on television, I know some people down at Sumter and Marengo County can't pick us up on TV, but you can get us on Facebook Live. And while we do that, Ryan, we had a tornado earlier down in Laurel and then one west of Meridian. Those things were quite intense, but those storms are kind of weakened. At least one of them has.
Yes, one of them has. That is the storm that is currently north of Meridian near Scuba, Mississippi. And that storm is also beginning to cross over into Alabama right now. But that storm has greatly weakened over time. It's gotten into some more stable air, as we like to put it here. That storm there in Lauderdale County is looking pretty rough. And there's also another storm that is just east of Laurel, Mississippi, that is starting to tighten up, and it might be impacting areas of Choctaw County down the line as it continues to move on throughout the rest of this afternoon. There are many tornado warnings over there in Mississippi, but the good thing for us here in Alabama, we are seeing more stable air settling in, at least here in Tuscaloosa, but we will start to see that deteriorate over time as the dew points do increase, along with our temperatures here as well. Demopolis has a dew point of around 63 and a temperature of 65, so the air is continuing to become unstable there in Demopolis.
Yeah, just checking with the National Weather Service office. They do have a fire and rescue out there, Lauderdale County. I do want to mention that they are reporting rotation. They don't see a tornado down, but they actually see rotation with that thunderstorm. So again, the storm itself is very close to that warm front, somewhere across Sumter County, most likely near the Tombigbee River. And again, as this storm moves into a more stable environment, we may see this thing weaken. Hopefully that will happen. We noticed storms that were north of Meridian have done that. They moved north of that warm front, and then they weaken pretty quickly. So again, I want to show you the warning, and technically there's no formal tornado warning for Sumter County in Alabama. That's Lauderdale County, Mississippi. We've got downtown Meridian that is under a tornado warning, but again, the main threat's going to be just east of that.
They just said the National Weather Service just said in the chat to hold off on the tip-off there for the UWA game that is supposed to tip off there in Livingston at University of Western Alabama. So there is a warning incoming, and there it is right there popping up on the map behind you, Richard.
All right, so tornado warning again that includes Livingston, and you said there's a game at University of West Alabama?
Yes, the tip-off was supposed to be at 2 p.m., but they have held it off, so hopefully everyone there is taking shelter there at the university.
So we got a lot of people in a small area on the University of West Alabama campus in Livingston. So again, if you can't watch us on television, you can see us on Facebook Live. If you can't see us on TV, let people down there know if they are at the game at UWA in Livingston that there is a tornadic thunderstorm that is approaching you. So again, we've got a tornadic thunderstorm moving out of Lauderdale County, Mississippi into Sumter County in West Alabama. So this is going to impact cities of Cuba, York, Livingston, and eventually Epps. Will be dealing with this tornadic thunderstorm, and it's moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. So again, if you are in Livingston, please heed warning, as there is a possible tornado coming your way. And again, we've got the game happening at UWA that is just stopped the tip-off that was supposed to be at 2 o'clock literally right now. So we know there are a lot of people that are on campus, University of West Alabama in Livingston, Sumter County. So again, anybody there, if you know somebody there, give them a call, let them know, hey, there's a tornadic storm coming your way to seek shelter. So again, let's do a track on this thing. We'll put back on the velocity. We know it's moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. That is a tight couplet there, just southeast of Meridian. So still screaming evidence there could be a tornado down. Understand we have a PDS tornado watch, which means a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch that includes Sumter, Greenhill, and Perry and Marengo counties in West Alabama. This does not include Tuscaloosa County. But again, areas south of there, it does include those particular counties. So let's do a track on this and show you where it is heading. And again, we've got a tornadic thunderstorm that's southeast of Meridian, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour, something kind of like that. Let me put this back to 35. And there are the times of arrival. Now, understand, when your time's up, that's when it's going to be on top of you. So if you are in, say, Cuba, don't wait until 2:16 to do something. That means the tornado is nearly on top of you. So go ahead and seek shelter if you are within that polygon. So Cuba at 2:17, the Dove area at 2:22, York, that's at 2:28. You got Painville, that's at 2:37. Livingston at 2:44, so we've got about 40 minutes before it gets into downtown Livingston. Again, there's a warm front of boundary very close by that we are watching. And I do note, I see we got a note on the National Weather Service chat room, Ryan, about the new convective outlook. I would be interested to see, if you pull that up on your computer, I'd be interested to see what it looks like. It may take a couple of minutes for it to pop up, but I do see that has been updated.
Yes, I saw that as well, and it's looking like nothing major has changed.
Okay.
It is a moderate risk still for Sumter and Marengo.
So generally the same areas.
Yes,
they
just
haven't
the
done
same
any
areas.
expansion.
No,
Okay,
they have
so again, still got the moderate risk of severe weather down here in Sumter and Marengo. We know that's where it's going to be the highest possibility for severe weather. Let's put on Jackson's radar. And again, there's your thunderstorm that's moving out of Sumter County, moving out of Lauderdale County, about to move into Sumter County. Tornado warning goes into effect, and that is until 2:45. So we've got about 45 minutes on this particular tornado warning for Sumter County in West Alabama. I do want to mention there are no additional tornado warnings in our coverage area, so let me put back on the warning map and show you that. There's your only tornado warning that has spilled across the state line. We've had a slew of tornado warnings back in Mississippi. The one that's below Quitman, that and near Shibuda, Mississippi, that one was interesting earlier, Ryan, with some sort of sign of strong rotation. So, that may be a heads up for our friends in Choctaw County. I know that's in the Mobile TV market, but I know a lot of people live down there in Choctaw County, so heads up for them.
Yes, it is definitely a very strong couplet there, just north and east of Laurel. It's looking pretty dangerous for that one as well.
So, yeah, Ryan, we're going to watch that carefully. Also looks like National Weather Service office in Birmingham, they think they see a debris signature. So let's go into this storm that's about to move into Sumter, and let's look at this thing close. If there is a debris signature, that means we have a tornado down. Put on the correlation coefficient, and this is going to be our debris tracker product, and it is awfully noisy. Now, they're looking out of Jackson, so let's sample from Jackson because I believe we're looking out of Columbus. So let's see what it looks like out of Jackson. And again, from my end, it is awfully noisy. Tell you what, I'm going to look over here on the weather iPad and just kind of look at this thing together. And yeah, I see a little spot right about there. That could be it. Let's see if it correlates with our couplet. Okay, there's a couplet right there. Let's look at the debris signature. And maybe a hint of something there. We'll see with the next scan or two if we do have a debris signature. But I'll tell you this is in a favorable environment for a tornado in this part of Alabama. So understand this is a dangerous thunderstorm that could easily drop a tornado if it's not already. And this is going to be moving into Sumter County in West Alabama. Let's put on the radar out of Jackson, and this is going to give it the best perspective. So and maybe a little bit of a hint of a beware bounded weak echo region right there. And again, that would be where your tornado would be. So that would make sense with the velocity signature and also the correlation dropout. So the debris signature we're looking at there. So this storm is right on the edge of this boundary, so I'm not sure if it can make it all the way to Livingston with an actual tornado down. Hopefully this thing can lift, but still, We're watching it carefully. Understand this warm front somewhere in here. We don't know exactly where it is, but wherever that boundary is, once it crosses, the storm is no longer rooted at the surface. So keep in mind, as the storm becomes elevated, it's no longer able to produce a tornado. You can have a rotating thunderstorm north of the warm front, but you don't have that true connection down to the surface, to the ground. So if that can happen, it can get north of that warm front. Our friends in Livingston would be just fine, but you're under the tornado warning, and you're in a PDS tornado watch. So again, let's treat it like there's a tornado down, and let's keep it, certainly keeping our shelters if you're in Sumter County in West Alabama. I want to take you out to Wideview because I know there's a lot of people asking about other parts of central Alabama. This is from the Birmingham radar, and notice how all this heavy rain continues to stream northeast. So for cities like Tuscaloosa and Northport, you're about to deal with some pretty heavy rainfall, but I do not see a tornado risk for Tuscaloosa and points north. Looks like, Ryan, that warm front's hanging up just to the south of the Tuscaloosa area.
Yeah, that warm front is setting up just to the south there in northern Hale County, so it's just south of the city of Tuscaloosa. And that's a good thing for us here in Tuscaloosa, meaning that we won't have much of an issue of severe weather unless that warm front continues to push its way northward, which right now I don't believe that we are expecting it to push much farther northward, Richard.
Yeah, and okay, so we are getting reports down in Lauderdale County, a possible tornado touchdown. That would be east of Meridian, very close to Interstate 20. And I'm just checking again. I don't see any other evidence of a tornado down, and it looks like the rotation may be in the process of weakening. But by the time, while we show you this a wide view, I do want to mention that there is a tornado watch across areas west of Tuscaloosa. South of Tuscaloosa and Pickens counties. That's going to be Hale County, Greene County, Perry County, Sumter, and Marengo. That is until 8 p.m. So we have tornado watch down there in that part of West Alabama until 8 p.m. So just checking Facebook Live here. I know there's a lot of people that we know down in Sumter and Marengo counties. I grew up in Linden, and that is something that people have a lot of interest in weather down there, and we are dealing with severe thunderstorm moving into Sumter County, not Marengo. So there are other storms downstream. So while Marengo is currently okay, that doesn't mean that you're going to be okay for this entire event, because there are more storms that could be heading your way. So again, if you are in Tuscaloosa points north, I was just checking Facebook Live over here, and I know there's a lot of comments and concerns about the cities of Tuscaloosa, Northport, and also Birmingham. I do not see a tornado risk for these cities right now. It looks like the warm air is just having a hard time moving further north, so you have stable air for these areas. Yes, it's going to rain, it's going to lightning some, but in terms of a tornado, I think that risk is pretty low. Ryan, what you got?
I am currently looking at the updated radar scans from that cell that is continuing to push its way into Sumter County, and it looks like the rotation is weakening just a bit. That tornado debris signature that the National Weather Service was possibly talking about there just east of Meridian, I did see that on radar, but it wasn't very impressive, not enough to definitely confirm it, but there was something, a hint of something there. There are very strong winds, so this could still be rotating. Let me see if I can check here on my laptop. I have a 92 mile per hour wind there on the velocity signature, and the gate-to-gate shear is just about 100 there on that couplet.
And you're talking about the one that's coming into Cuba?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, you still see a couplet there that's just below Interstate 20 that runs from Meridian up to Livingston and York. There's your possible tornado right there. Again, still have a tight evidence of rotation. And this hasn't officially moved into Alabama. This is still west of Cuba. It seems like this thing is maybe slowed down just a bit. The forward progress of this thing was at 35 miles per hour. It should be near the state line by this point, but it still isn't there. So we're going to get a new radar scan at any minute, and hopefully this thing will trend downhill just a bit. But so far that has not happened. So again, a possible tornado that's east of Meridian coming up on Sumter County. That's Cuba and York area. Kennerbish down there. This is going to be north of you. This is north of the Choctaw County line. You go down to south towards Butler. No problems with this particular storm for our friends in Choctaw County. This is solely a Sumter County storm. So let me take you out to Wideview. And I do want to look at the storms down to the south of that. In fact, I can see that rotation this far out, well below Meridian. This storm, right, look at the rotation. Shibuda, Mississippi. That's Gilberttown, that's Butler, Lavaca sits about right there. Again, this is going to be a tornadic storm that's going to be moving generally towards the Butler area in Choctaw County. Again, that's in the Mobile TV market, but just want to let you know this storm is moving northeast towards the Butler area. So if it does indeed hold together, this could be a tornadic storm that could impact central Choctaw County, then downstream from that, Marengo County. So again, another storm need to carefully monitor, but the one storm in our area that is tornadic is this one in Sumter County. And looking from the Columbus radar, it's really tough to see this thing, but understand this is in that radar hole we talk about all the time. It seems like if there's severe weather in Marengo or Sumter County, Sumter, Marengo, and Choctaw, it's just so hard to see if there's anything actually down or not because we're sampling air so far up off the ground. So again, this is just in a bad spot with radar coverage. But let me go down into this thing. And again, this is from Jackson. I think this is going to be our best bet to be able to see the rotation itself. And Ryan, what is the altitude of the radar here? It's got to be over 8,000 feet.
There it says here that it's just at around 6,000.
Oh, from Jackson.
From Jackson.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
From Birmingham, it's probably well over 8,000.
So that's you still have a tornado that's tall enough to be able to see the rotation if there's a tornado down. Unfortunately, we don't know what's below that 6,000 foot mark. But again, this is going to move into Cuba. There's York. That's Livingston. That's Highway 11 that runs parallel to the interstate. You know, if it's rough weather, I know a lot of people like to drive Highway 11 rather than interstate to get away from the 18-wheeler traffic. If you are driving on Interstate 20 or Highway 11, we want you to pull over, let the storm pass by, try to find an exit as soon as you can. This is a slow-moving tornadic storm. It's 35-mile-per-hour forward motion off to the northeast, so it's going to take time to get to you. Now, if you are at Cuba, you need to be in shelter now. If you are at York, you've got a little more time, but Livingston, I would say about 2:45, the tornadic storm is going to be very close to Livingston and the University of West Alabama. Go ahead, Ryan.
I would also like to, direct your attention here to the storm that is just south of Meridian that's directly following this tornadic circulation. It's just there off your screen. You can see that that one is also starting to tighten up, and it's directly following that same system.
You're talking about this one right here,
yes,
Ryan?
That one is. I'm seeing a decent couplet here on my radar here out of Jackson.
Okay, and then you have the one that's down to the south of that. Right here, which sticks out like a sore thumb.
Oh, most definitely. That one is very, very wicked looking.
So that's Shibuda, Mississippi. All right, so that's Highway 45 that runs parallel to the Alabama state line. You got Highway 17 on the Alabama side that runs up and down the state line. Then in East Mississippi, you got Highway 45 that runs up and down the state line or near the state line. Those run parallel to each other. But again, this is a tornadic thunderstorm that's coming up on Shibuda, Mississippi. This is going to move into Choctaw County, Alabama, which is right here, and eventually impact cities like Butler. If it continues, it could end up in Marengo County and could be a problem for you in that part of West Alabama. So let's go back off towards the north again. Ryan mentioning there is also some rotation developing below Meridian. This part of the area right here, some evidence of rotation. We'll need to watch that for another potential tornadic thunderstorm in Sumter. And again, this is our tornadic storm that's in East Mississippi moving into West Alabama. Just checking with the National Weather Service office in Birmingham, there's a new update. And goodness, the rotation, Ryan, with the one to the north seems to be weakening, but I see what you're talking about, one to the south. Seems to be pulsing back up a little bit.
Yes, the one to the south is definitely pulsing back up, but as the National Weather Service did say in the chat that the rotation is definitely not intense on that northern circulation there. As you can see that new radar update, you can see it's much weaker here on this next scan.
This one to the south, much stronger.
Yes, most definitely. Right now, it definitely looks much more organized than the northern south.
Ryan, that may be near that boundary too, so something we need to carefully watch of a storm we're dealing with. But I'm going to take you out to wide view and show everybody out there. And Ryan, if you want to give a radar update.
Yeah, let's see. We do have all of that rain, the moderate to heavy rainfall there over Pickens County, over Lamar County, and all of that is continuing to fall. We have an aerial flood advisory and a flood watch in effect for us for all this heavy rainfall. Upwards of 3 to 4 inches could fall over the afternoon and evening hours tonight. So we do have that flash flooding risk that is in effect for the rest of today. We do have that tornado warning there in Sumter County, which we are continuing to track. That initial circulation that we were tracking is weakening a little bit, but there is a circulation just to the south there of the initial rotation that we were tracking, and it is starting to wrap up a little bit more along with that heavy rain that is falling in Sumter, Pickens, and even Tuscaloosa County. We are seeing some of that rain here in Tuscaloosa County. As you can see here on the radar, those reds and yellows are that intense rainfall that is falling out there for us here. So that flood watch is in effect for us.
Yeah, so we have that dual threat, Ryan, of flooding and also the tornadoes down to the south. So, again, our main issues currently with the severe weather, as Ryan mentions, down here to the south, over Sumter County, even Green, Hale, Perry, Marengo. You'll eventually deal with these severe thunderstorms. And there's quite a number of tornado warnings back here in East Mississippi. I want to just put on the polygons. You can see we have just this little patch of tornado warnings, 1, 2, 3, 4. Tornado warnings right back here in East Mississippi, 1 in Alabama. So again, we've got several tornadic thunderstorms that's supposed to move into West Alabama over the next hour or two. So that is a concern. We'll look at the lightning display out of this. I'm just interested to see which storm is more dominant in terms of a lightning output. And again, notice there's not a whole lot of lightning once you go further north of that warm front. There is some lightning and thunder, but most of it's down here in this truly unstable area. Even this storm that's coming into Sumter County, there's not much lightning with it right now, but you see the one that sticks out like a sore thumb, that one below Quitman and below Enterprise. That thing is producing quite a bit of lightning. And that continues to move off towards the northeast as well. The storm moving into Sumter County, we can do a little lightning detection here. All right, see 4 strikes in that little corridor there. Let me clear that off. I'm going to see how many strikes we've got in that part of Alabama. So over Sumter County, right there. So 8 lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes. So not a tremendous amount of lightning. Now you go down to the south. Yeah, let's look at that storm that's below Quitman. Again, this is going to be moving to Choctaw County. I tell you now, if you are down here, you can hear the lightning and thunder. Let me pan this off to the north just a bit and kind of redraw that. I am at the very bottom of the screen there. So again, so if you are in Choctaw County, this storm heading your way is producing a tremendous amount of lightning. Look at that, 265 lightning strikes just in the past 15 minutes with that one thunderstorm. So you can tell the difference between the more dominant storm, the stronger updraft, producing more intense cloud-to-ground lightning versus the storm to the north, which is more of a puny thunderstorm with very little lightning. I believe it's near that boundary now, so we're not seeing the lightning output as tremendous as it was earlier. But that one down to the south clearly becoming more dominant. And that may be our more dominant tornado circulation, Ryan. So that's one thing we need to watch for. Again, Choctaw and Marengo, this storm here may become more dominant.
Yes. That storm is starting to become more dominant down there just south of Quitman. It will continue to truck off there to the north and east. We are also watching that new circulation that is south of Meridian. It's now more southeast of Meridian, and that one has wrapped up considerably more over the last about 5 or so minutes, and that is about to enter that tornado warning that is in Lauderdale County in Mississippi and downstream into Sumter County as well, where that initial circulation is beginning to cross the state line now.
So the National Weather Service office in Birmingham, Ryan, kind of on the fence now whether they want to continue the tornado warning for Sumter or let it cancel it early based off the fact the rotations weakened so much. And I understand that people in University of West Alabama campus for the game happening, the kickoff or the start of the game time was supposed to be 2 p.m. Well, they're going to have to hold off on that. There's a tornado warning, so they're currently in the tornado precaution, the tornado shelter, and doing what they need to do to make sure the fans there are safe in Livingston. But again, the storm of concern of that one is near Cuba, approaching the York area. So let me take off this lightning display, and I just wanted to briefly show you how much lightning this storm down to the south is producing, because it is clearly a dominant thunderstorm. Put on the velocity And again, you'll see where the rotation of the storm just southeast of Meridian has become a little more organized. You see right there. And it's essentially following the exact same track of this storm, but the one to the north that prompted the tornado warning for Sumter County is not rotating as much or as vigorously as it was earlier. This thing had a very tight couplet when it was about down here. So you see this storm is becoming more dominant. This one's kind of losing it. So this tells me it's crossing that boundary, and that boundary may be right there. So again, you know, talking with Fire and Rescue down in Sumter County, their parameters, they've got current data down there in Sumter County, and their temperature is 65 with a dew point of 63. The air is very saturated, or nearly saturated, but in terms of unstable air, they may be just across that boundary where the air is more stable. Understand, you can still have a rotating thunderstorm in stable air if the rotation is aloft. It's elevated, it's not surface-based, but you can't have a tornado if you cut off that unstable air to the updraft. So again, that's the latest on that. That storm is still in unstable air. So as this moves into this region, we may also see it begin to weaken. So we'll see if the National Weather Service will extend a tornado warning out at that one. That one needs a tornado warning. That's an intense rotation just below Meridian. But again, as it moves into more stable air, we'll see if the National Weather Service office in Birmingham will extend the tornado warning for that one into Sumter or not. So it's going to take a little time to see that. Ryan, you have an update?
Yes, I have a damage update there from Lauderdale County from that initial rotation. There was a roof removed from a trailer in Lauderdale County in the Tumsa area, or Tumsuba area, excuse me. And we are, and Birmingham is saying they are more concerned about the training cell that is starting to approach that same area that initial rotation moved through. And something that could be happening with this storm is this initial cell could have been cut off there by the next cell that was coming on. It might have cut off that inflow into that rotation, and that could have cut off the initial circulation completely and even fueled the second circulation even more, Richard.
Yeah, and it certainly looks more impressive compared to the other ones. So, yeah, these storms are essentially competing with each other. Anytime you have two supercell thunderstorms close to each other, they often compete with that energy source. And so there's two processes that could be limited in this storm to the north. Number one, the boundary, the warm front, has it crossed it, moved into stable air? Or number two, are these two supercells so close together they're competing with each other, and they kind of, one of them loses the battle. Typically, one to the north will lose the battle. The one to the south will win. However, look just south of this one. You got another one down here, and that one's about to move into northern Choctaw County, and that could move into Sumter and Marengo County. So, again, that one's further south. Could that become the dominant storm and produce a longer track tornado? All these bear watching, but clearly it's raining quite a bit across West Alabama now. Heavy rain falling over much of the area, generally near and west of Tuscaloosa, just this large curtain of rain, a mass of rain there. This is not severe, and I've got so many questions about the Tuscaloosa area. I see no sign of anything severe approaching Tuscaloosa. Yes, if you look at that storm in Sumter County, you're saying, hey, this thing's moving northeast, it's coming right for us. Well, it's not going to happen. Again, it's going to move north of the boundary. There's stable air. We've seen storms to the north of here just turn into this and fizzle out. So again, as it moves across a warm front, think of that warm front like a big wall or something. It's going to protect you from a tornado. Once it gets north of that warm front in stable air, you're good. Now, yes, you're going to have nasty weather, you're going to have heavy rainfall, but in terms of a tornado, it's not going to happen. So as long as you're north of that front, if you walk outside, it's cool outside, cool and damp, you're good. But the boundary is moving. It's slowly moving north, so I think it's safe to say it's far enough, Ryan, south of Tuscaloosa, that if you are in Tuscaloosa, Northport, even any part of Tuscaloosa County, I think it's safe enough to say we're going to be north of the tornado threat.
Yes, we should stay north of that tornado threat. There's a boundary that is set up there in southern Sumter County, and that boundary is limiting all the factors to the north of it, and that's just really helping us out here in Tuscaloosa. And once storms cross over into that boundary, the storms become elevated, and they just start to fizzle out in terms of severe weather, but the rain does remain with those storms, and that is our main issue here in Tuscaloosa is our flooding threat. We could see heavy rain throughout the entire afternoon and evening hours here in Tuscaloosa and in other cities around us here in western Alabama.
Yeah, Ryan, looking at where the warm front is now, it does look like it's positioned over kind of southwest Sumter County, north Marengo County. So once you get north of that, weird stable air. And the wind direction, looking at the wind parcels, where the air is moving, it's out of the southeast. The boundary is oriented just like this, all right, from northwest to southeast. Well, the wind's running parallel to that. The winds need to be running due south, out of the due south, to push that front north. If the wind's running parallel to it, the boundary won't move. Understand the wind moves the air. You got to have the wind flow. You got to have warm air advection before this boundary will move north. So as long as you don't turn that wind direction to due south, that boundary is going to stay there. If it moves, it'll move very small. Now, if the wind becomes strong out of the south, it's called your low-level jet, and that will kick this boundary north. But I don't see that happening right now. So again, I think it's safe to say if you are south of Utah and Moundville areas we've been talking about this whole time, that's where your tornado threat's going to be, not north of there. Rain, tornadoes. A lot of rain, the risk of tornadoes. So that's where we're looking at. So again, we're watching these storms down to the south. Let me go into these. I did show you wide view. I know for a lot of people watching through Facebook Live and on TV, you're trying to figure out, is it safe to pick up my kids from school or extended day or after school activities. And again, for these zones here, it's pouring rain, but we don't have a concern for tornadoes with that. So down to the south, that's where we are concerned about potential tornadoes. And we're looking out of, I believe, Birmingham. Let me put on, we'll put on Mobile.
Richard, check the debris signature on that storm that is just south of Quitman. It is very
right
impressive. Yes, I'm not sure if
Are you
the
looking
radar,
out of Mobile?
I'm looking out of Jackson, actually. I'm seeing a big signature.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, it's
I see it out of
huge
Mobile now.
signature. Yes, it's very impressive. So that one is on the ground heading towards Choctaw County as of right now. So that might be an issue down the line for our friends down there in Choctaw.
Yeah, so again, if you're in Choctaw County, again, I know this is the Mobile TV market, but I want to briefly mention this because I know a lot of people in Choctaw County understand I grew up in Linden. You know, my dad grew up in Butler, so I know we know a lot of people down here in this part of the world, and I know people can watch through Facebook Live, but this tornado is confirmed and it's approaching western Choctaw County. Ryan, what's the speed on that thing or the motion? Is that more northeast or east?
Let's see. Let me check the warning. It is saying that it is moving more northeast at around 40 miles per hour. So this one is a bit faster than the storm that we were tracking earlier.
So again, there's your tornado there. It's a confirmed tornado down.
And that the new scan as of around 2:25 just popped up here on my laptop, and that rotation signature has decreased greatly here on the Jackson radar. Let me switch over to the Mobile radar. So Sumter County, you are looking okay right now. The
oh, you're talking about the one to the north?
Yes, the one to the north has weakened considerably.
Yeah.
But it's still rotating very broadly right now, so everyone in Sumter County should still be taking shelter as there's another area of rotation. And if you know anyone down there in Choctaw County, you might want to let them know of this rotation that's approaching them.
Yeah, this is going to be a tornadic thunderstorm. Tell you what, I've got a radar loop pulled up here on the side, and I'm just kind of looking at this thing. It looks like this is going to be more of a Listman area, just north of Butler. I know you were perfectly fine in Gilberttown or Needham there on 17. This tornadic thunderstorm is moving just like that. Listman sits about right there where my finger is. You've got Pennington here. This is just below the Georgia-Pacific paper mill there on the Choctaw-Marengo County line. It's on the Choctaw side of the Tombigbee River. You've got the community of Myrtlewood there, Jefferson, Old Lock 3 about right there. So if this thing holds together on its path, it's going to move northeast just like that through Listman, move across North Choctaw County, and then move into northwest Marengo or southeast Sumter County. If this thing continues, now understand this may not happen. This may fizzle out and you don't have a problem at all, but I just want to give you heads up. Areas north of Butler, when they draw the tornado warning polygon for Choctaw County, they may include Butler in that, but I can tell you with fair confidence this is going to stay north of downtown Butler and be more of a problem towards Listman, and then eventually move up towards Myrtlewood area and Jefferson, Old Lock 3, and then southeast portions of Sumter County.
Richard, I'm going to interrupt really quick. The storm that is in Lauderdale County, Mississippi, heading towards Sumter, around 2 minutes ago, there was an observed rotation on the ground report given to the National Weather Service there in Jackson. So this tornado could still be on the ground right now. There has been observed rotation from a spotter there on the ground in Lauderdale County, Mississippi, and that's heading towards Sumter for us.
Yeah, that's the storm behind the initial one.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's that next rotation, Ryan. I think it's right on that boundary, and that may be helping it rotate more. And typically, these storms cross a boundary, the rotation will quickly wrap up and develop a tornado. Once it gets on the other side of the boundary, it fizzles out, and that's it. So again, this is an observed tornado that is in Lauderdale County in Mississippi, about to move into Sumter County. And I assume the tornado warning continues for Sumter, even though the rotation is not as significant with the lead storm. And correct me if I'm wrong, because the initial rotation is just here between New York and Cuba. That's what's left of it. There's not much there, but understand this is still a dangerous storm approaching Livingston. This one down to the south has a confirmed tornado just southeast of downtown Meridian. This is going to move into the Cuba area, move into Sumter County in Cuba. You'll deal with that tornado. And I'm going to look at the debris tracker, and let's just see. I can't see anything off of that with that storm. Let's look at, tell you what, Jackson's reflectivity. And again, there's where your tornado, this thing is just in a terrible spot. Let's look at Mobile. Again, you just cannot see much in this area. Ryan, I don't think this storm's going to last very long. It looks like at least the intensity of the thunderstorm is beginning to wane just a bit, kind of like this one did. So this is most likely going to be a brief tornado, not a long track one.
It should not, but there is still that couplet that is showing up on radar, and it's continuing to wrap up tighter and tighter with each
Man, look at the one to the south.
Yeah, the one to the south is very impressive here on radar, and the one just southwest of Cuba is also looking pretty decent now on radar. It's tightened up once again. I think it is right there on that boundary. That boundary is continuing to move north. We've had reports there from Sumter County that is saying that the dew point is continuing to increase along with the temperature. So the instability is continuing to rise.
That warm front slowly riding north. It's not a fast process, and hey, we're fortunate for that. If this warm front is able to get kicked north quickly, then that would put cities like Tuscaloosa in a tornado threat. So as long as that boundary is moving slow as possible, that will help us out just a bit. Storm down to the south. I'm going to pull on Mobile's, I can't see it from Mobile. Here's Jackson. Very tight couplet here. We know there's a tornado down. This is just southeast of Quitman, Mississippi. That's Shibuda, Mississippi on Highway 45 there. This is going to move into northwest Choctaw County. Did the Weather Service office in Mobile? I'm not in the Mobile chat room. Let me see if they've got the polygon for Choctaw. They do not have a tornado warning for Choctaw County just yet, but heads up, if you are in northwest Choctaw County, most likely we'll see a red polygon pop up any second. It may include Butler, but I'm telling you with confidence this thing's going to stay just north of there. That's Listman, that's Highway 10 that runs into East Mississippi, just below the triple point of Lauderdale, Sumter, and Choctaw County here. So again, this tornadic thunderstorm is going to be crossing Highway 10 to the northwest of Butler near the Listman area. That's in Choctaw County. That's for that particular storm. Let's go back off towards the north. And again, we still have a tornado warning for Sumter. And again, this is, I believe, till 2:45 unless they've changed the warning. But the storm that's right over Tumsuba is more impressive compared to just earlier.
Yeah, that circulation is definitely more impressive. And the National Weather Service in Birmingham said they were going to keep that warning in Sumter County for the second little batch of rotation that is going to make its way into areas around Cuba and York over the next 15 to 30 minutes.
So yeah, that next one that's coming in is certainly still impressive. I don't know if it's going to last a very long time, but it is certainly impressive at the moment. Again, if you are on University of West Alabama campus, I want you to stay sheltered for a potential tornado that could be there with that particular storm. That is a dangerous thunderstorm that could still have a tornado down. I do want to remind you, too, if you lose power, we are on Facebook Live. So if you search for WVUA23 Facebook page, we are on there right now. Is there something below Hattiesburg? I keep seeing, yeah, there's another tornado down around Hattiesburg, and I see that one. That one's down to the south, well outside of our coverage area, but again, some storms that we need to watch as those will move into West Alabama in the next hour or so. So let me go out to a wide view. This is the watch warning map. You see your tornado warning polygon for Sumter County. So again, stay sheltered in Cuba, York, University of West Alabama campus, and Livingston. Again, the game was expected to start at 2 o'clock. They delayed that. I believe they have everybody in the tornado shelter right now in Sumter County. But again, we've got the yellow counties. That is a tornado watch until 8 p.m. for Sumter, Greene, Hale, Perry, in Marengo, areas to the south. That's a PDS tornado watch, particularly dangerous situation. Tornado watch based off of the environment is conducive for producing a few strong tornadoes down there. Notice Pickens, Tuscaloosa, Bibb, Chilton, points north is not under the tornado watch. The environment is not conducive for tornado in that part of the state for now.
Richard,
I don't think that's going to happen. Go ahead, Ryan.
Richard, this tornado warning that is in effect for Sumter County, we have been seeing reports in the National Weather Service chat room about there being a tornado on the ground in Lauderdale County. Okay. It is just south of Tumsuba right now. And we have reports there from both the Jackson National Weather Service and the Birmingham National Weather Service saying this is on the ground. But confirmed rotation there. Christopher Vaughn there out of Sumter County is saying that that he is hearing word from Lauderdale County that nothing's on the ground, but there is confirmed rotation there. But in the Jackson chat, there is reports of a confirmed tornado. Yeah,
there it is right there. So again, this is Interstate 2059. To split off to Interstate 20 is just on the west side of Meridian. 59 goes south to Hattiesburg. 20 goes west of Jackson. This is going to be east of downtown Meridian. Again, there's your Sumter County, Alabama state line right there. This tornado is going to be approaching Cuba, York. That's Millville there. And then you got Livingston up here at the top of your screen. So again, your tornadoes there, and I'm going to look at the correlation coefficient. I'll look at the debris signature, just see if we've got anything there. I can't see it, but understand we're 6,000 feet above the ground here, so it'd take a tall tornado to be able to see the debris with that. Look at the lightning output. Just want to see what it is doing. And again, about the same as we had earlier in terms of the number of lightning strikes. This is not an overly intense thunderstorm, so most likely if there's a tornado down, it's going to be rather weak and brief. I don't think this is going to be a long-track tornado moving into Sumter, but again, we still need you in shelter with a possible tornado there. I'm going to go back over to Jackson radar. And I see Mississippi put, again, a confirmed tornado there, the pink polygon representing confirmed tornado. Understand red is radar indicated, and then you go up from that and you eventually get a pink polygon, which is a confirmed radar, a confirmed tornado. You get a purple polygon, that is a large and extremely dangerous tornado. So again, we'll have a confirmed tornado here. The storm spotters looking at this thing, we can see it based off our velocity. The rotation is fairly intense. Moving into Sumter County. Again, Weather Service office is going to expire the initial tornado warning for Sumter. Let's see. So they're going to expire the initial tornado warning for Sumter. I believe they expired no longer a tornado warning for Sumter. So again, the National Weather Service office has just canceled the tornado warning. Interesting to note for Sumter County, although we did just get a report of a confirmed tornado down in East Mississippi. So I'm not sure if the Weather Service is going to reissue a tornado warning or not. They are allowing the initial warning to expire. So there's no longer a tornado warning for Sumter County for the moment. Okay, so again, the Weather Service office in Birmingham allowing this tornado warning to expire for Sumter County in West Alabama. Take you out to wide view and show you again what we got going on. We got rain and thunderstorms moving through much of West Alabama. Put on the radar out of let's do Columbus. I think it's going to give us a better perspective of much of North and Central Alabama. A lot of rain happening. It's pouring rain outside here in Tuscaloosa. But again, in terms of the tornado warning, I believe, Ryan, they have allowed that tornado warning to expire unless they issued a new one, and I don't see it.
I don't see anything here on the National Weather Service chat or popping up on radar, so I believe they have allowed this to expire right now for Sumter County.
Yeah.
That's a good sign for them.
So the Weather Service office in Birmingham, they're confident enough to think this tornado is going to weaken before it moves across into Alabama. You see with the other box there, Ryan, that is what it looked like from Brian Denny. I'll pull that up on our weather map here, and you'll see what's happening. 61 in Tuscaloosa. We're still cool and stable. It's raining outside in Tuscaloosa. Here's what it looks like at Fayette. This is the Pfeiffer Cam at Fayette. And again, that's what it looks like. Just a note from the Weather Service of John DeBlock mentioning he is not going to extend the new tornado warning into Sumter County. So again, the warning for Sumter County allowed to expire right now. So here's a look from our Pfeiffer Cam at Fayette. We got rain falling there. Gloomy looking skies, but the temperature is 57. It's cool and stable. At any second, this warning polygon should disappear from our computer screen. But again, that's what our TVs, that's what we're seeing right now. Still got the polygon popping up. But flood watch continues across much of the area. Flooding is a concern. Tornado watch continues for Sumter, Greene, Hale, Perry, and Marengo counties and points to the south. So again, Ryan, just like what we talked about, the Weather Service office talking about this rotation has really weakened with the storm moving into Sumter.
Yeah, it's looking like all of those storms that are crossing that boundary, as soon as they hit that northern side of the boundary, it just starts to weaken completely, and that is a great sign for us here in Alabama.
Yeah, and hopefully that trend continues, but still we've got at least an environment conducive to producing a few tornadoes down here south of Utah, south of Greensboro especially. You know, we may see things try to ramp up. There's a lot of rain developing out ahead of this. This thing's kind of looking more ragged in terms of rain, becoming more widespread and a dominant feature. So I don't think we're going to have as many as tornadoes as we feared a little bit earlier. If you remember at one point, Ryan, there were 13 tornado warnings across South Mississippi and Northeast Louisiana. So at some point, we were watching all those tornado warnings and thinking, man, this could be a long day, but it looks like these things are weakening as they move on in.
Yes, when I was driving over here to the station, I saw all of those warnings pop up there over southeast Louisiana and southern Mississippi, and I was like, oh, this one's going to be a long event for us here. But luckily, all the storms that have crossed over the state line have weakened dramatically as they have crossed over the Mississippi and Alabama state line. I was worried. My family is down there in New Orleans, and they were dealing with some severe weather earlier, and they're currently dealing with some. So I've been trying to keep track of that along with all the storms here in Alabama with us as well.
Yeah, I don't think we're out of the woods, Ryan. I do note the Weather Service office just extended a tornado warning into Choctaw County, the one we've been watching. This is going to move into Sumter. So, again, we're not quite out of the woods yet. A lot of tornado warnings earlier across Mississippi and Louisiana, and we still got some to go. So, I'll tell you what, let's check out our velocity. And I want to take you down to the storm that, again, is over in Choctaw County. This is another tornado warning that has been issued down here. And, again, you see that polygon representing where the potential tornado is going to track. So, I know Choctaw County technically outside of our TV market, but this is going to quickly move into Sumter and perhaps portions of Marengo County if this continues. Maybe more of a Sumter County storm, quite frankly, based off this latest signature. So, again, a tornado warning issued for Choctaw County. And I tell you what, I'm going to check with the National Weather Service office over in Mobile.
And I also would like to add that rotation there that is moving into Choctaw County has weakened significantly over the past, I'm going to say, 20 minutes or so. It is not as robust on radar as of right now.
Okay, the one moving into North Choctaw?
Yes. Yes.
All right, so let's check it out. This is the one that's east equipment now. Again, a tornadic thunderstorm that could produce a tornado. And put on the velocity. We just look at this thing together. And let's pan it off towards the south. And again, you see this is Sumter County right here. This is Marengo County. You see Linden right there. And again, your rotation to the north has died out. There is some broad rotation, but again, the Weather Service officer, they're not going to continue the tornado warning for that part of Sumter. Yeah, Ryan, you're right. The cell down to the south is not as impressive as it was earlier. They're still seeing a weak TDS, a tornado debris signature with that, but in terms of the rotation, it's not as substantial. This is moving into North Choctaw County, and if this continues, we may not see an extension into Sumter. So again, tornado warning has been posted for northern Choctaw County. Let's look at the polygon with that. Just see what we've got. And before we do, yeah, there's your TDS. That's your debris signature. That is where there is a tornado, most likely still there, but it may be in the process of lifting. Let's go to our warning polygon. And you see that's it right there. That's northwest Choctaw County. Still see the one in North Sumter. That is going to expire. It just hasn't cleared from our screen yet. But again, there's your tornado. There it goes right there. Here's your tornado warning for North Choctaw County. This is northwest of Butler. That's going to be a Lisman storm to follow Highway 10 to the Mississippi state line where it crosses into Mississippi in Lauderdale County. The tornadic circulation is going to cross somewhere right in there. So this is then going to move into Sumter County somewhere. Really looks like below Cuba and York. So if this storm continues, we may require tornado warning into Sumter County. But again, it's showing some sign of weakening right now. We've got a lot of folks who are watching us on TV and Facebook Live. I do want to mention that too, that we are also on Facebook Live. It's now 2:45. If you are just now joining us, Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott here. We've got Ryan Larmue with us in the studio as well, and we are continuing to watch this severe weather threat across central Alabama. I've got, again, Facebook Live pulled over here on the side, and I can see comments and questions. So I can see everybody on here. If you have comments and questions, I can try to answer those too. But let me show you a wide view of what all's going on across central Alabama. And I'm going to take Birmingham's radar. Let's take you out a wide view. And you see what we got. A lot of rain across central Alabama. This whole mass of rain is moving off towards the east. There's no concern for a tornado for Pickens or Tuscaloosa counties or Jefferson counties. Areas to the south, that's where we could see still the risk of a tornado. But again, in this tornado watch area, I know this is a PDS tornado watch. Based off of trends, I don't think this is going to be a significant threat for most of our area. Yes, there could still be a tornado or two, but clearly everything seems to be weakening down to the southwest of us. So that's an encouraging thing to see. So again, a lot of rain moving through west Alabama. There's going to be some flooding potential over the next few hours. This will come to an end from west to east later this evening and tonight. And once that comes to an end, we'll be all good. So again, questions through Facebook Live. You know, a lot of people watch from the Tuscaloosa area. I think we're seeing all rain in Tuscaloosa. I do not see a tornado threat for you. And quite frankly, I don't see a tornado threat for the Greensboro area. I know you are in that tornado watch, but I think this is all going to be south of you. If we see, Ryan, if we see any additional tornadoes, I think it's going to be south of Demopolis. I would be surprised if we get a tornado north of Highway 80 based off of trends.
Yeah, based off of these trends, unless this boundary considerably moves northward, I don't think we're going to see anything north of Demopolis either. I think our main risk is going to be Marengo for the next few hours. Yeah, and this is a very temporary risk. Understand our window of time is running out quickly, so this is going to be a deal where it's not going to last very long. In fact, let me go over to the radar and satellite, and I want to show you this. This is our event. This is our entire event right here. We got rain back to the west of this, but as this moves through, notice how much rain is getting out ahead of these storms. So I think they're contaminating the storms. The environment is being contaminated. So the warm front's not able to get north. You've got a lot of heavy rain falling. And that kind of helps push the boundary back south. Your what we call a cold pool sets up. And again, these storms, they try to move into an environment conducive for tornadoes. It's getting squashed further towards the south. So these storms just having a tough time. So what we'll do, let's take a break.
We have no tornado warnings in effect now. We're just going to take a quick break. We'll come back here at 3 o'clock and do a live severe weather update here in about 12 minutes. So we will also join you on Facebook Live as well. So again, the good news is no current warnings. And this looks mainly like a heavy rain event. If there's going to be any tornadoes, I think it's going to be our far southern counties like Sumter and Marengo over the next hour or two. And then after that, this heavy rain takes over and your tornado risk is over. So later on this evening, things quiet down pretty quickly. So we'll take it back over to break or to program. We'll see you back here in about 10 minutes.
Areas north of Sumter and Marengo counties, we aren't seeing much of an effect of this severe weather. The National Weather Service, we've been discussing things in the chat rooms and talking about how all the storms that have been tornado warned that have started to cross into Alabama, they've just been completely diminishing as they cross over the state line, which is pretty rare for Alabama.
Yeah, it's a warm front that's draped across, I believe, southern Sumter and central Marengo County. As they get past that boundary, the air is stable. It's not as warm and unstable for these storms to tap into. So we're seeing this turn into more of a large mass of rain now. While there is some good news that we don't have any current tornado warnings, the bad news is we still have a flooding potential out of this across most of central Alabama, especially that Highway 80 corridor and points north. That's where we're really concerned about some flash flooding. So if you live in a flood-prone area, use caution over the next few hours. We'll begin to see this rain taper off pretty quickly from west to east later this evening and early tonight. I do want to show you quickly, let's get back over to watch warning map, and here's a look at a radar, and again you see the activity over West Alabama. This large mass of moderate to heavy rain continues to slide off towards an east direction, a slow process. That's why we are concerned about flooding, because this is going to dump a lot of rain in a short period of time. We still have a tornado warning for northwest Choctaw County in West Alabama. There are no current warnings for Sumter or Marengo at the moment, but again we are watching that one storm that is about to move into southern Sumter County, and again just checking with the National Weather Service office in Birmingham. And again, there's no tornado warning in the process of being issued for Sumter. But again, the Weather Service they're watching it carefully. There's some evidence of rotation down there, but in terms of a big tornado, it just does not appear to be happening right now. Notice how these storms move into Sumter County, how they weaken, like that one there that was tornadic, just fizzled into a moderate rain mass or some heavy rain, and that's about it. So let's go down into Sumter County and show you what's happening. I do want to mention too that we are also on Facebook Live, so if you can't watch us on TV, you can always get us on the WVUA23 Facebook page. And again, here's the last storm of concern for the moment, and that's in northwest Choctaw County. There's Lisman. There's your possible tornado. It's about to cross into Sumter, and again, once it happens, it'll be moving in areas like Cuba, York, and the Bellamy area. There is Livingston up there. That's Highway 80 that runs to the Marengo County side to Demopolis, runs into the state line, and there's, again, Lauderdale County, Mississippi back here. So, again, a possible tornado there in northwest Choctaw County moving off towards northeast. Ryan, we've had some reports back off towards the west of some tornadoes, but I haven't seen much in a while.
Not in a while. We had that initial report last time we were on air. We saw that report of the circulation reaching the ground in Lauderdale County, but once it crossed over into Alabama, that circulation completely diminished and went away. So that is good news for us here in Alabama. No reports as of lately for any of the storms that are continuing to push its way eastward into Alabama.
Yeah, and hopefully that trend will continue, Ryan. So, again, we're seeing these storms weaken as they move on in. Technically, we still got a tornado watch in effect that it goes until 8 o'clock for most of central Alabama. A live look from Brian Denny here in Tuscaloosa. The temperature right now is 61. Again, we're cool and stable. No sign of severe weather in Tuscaloosa. Fayette, 57 now. Again, cool and stable. Here's your watch warning map, and still got the tornado watch for Sumter, Greene, Hale, Perry, Marengo, Dallas. We got Wilcox, Monroe County, down towards Clark and Choctaw. And that's until 8 p.m. Again, that is a tornado watch. The county's in yellow. To the north of that, that's a flood watch. Again, we are concerned about flooding. The green polygons, those are river flood warnings see up there across portions of Alabama back into Mississippi for a flooding issue. So if you live along the local waterway, there could be some problems in terms of river flooding. So use caution over the next several days if you live across one of those typical areas that floods in terms of a river, if you have a lot of rain and runoff. But so far, there are no tornado warnings in our area, and so that's good. So if you are watching us down to the south in Sumter County, in Marengo County, we're going to carefully monitor trends over the next hour. But I'd say this, I would say, Ryan, by the time we get towards 5 o'clock, even those areas should be totally in the clear with only rain in terms of a tornado threat.
Yeah, the main line is starting to progress more southward, and most of the areas that were affected earlier by these supercell thunderstorms in Mississippi.
Oh, they're going to issue tornado warning.
They are for
Sumter County. Yes. So again, the National Weather Service office in Birmingham, they're going to go ahead and just pull the trigger out of caution for Sumter County. They mentioned lightning is kind of ramping up there in southern Sumter. So again, these are the only two counties we're really concerned about right now, Sumter and Marengo, as if there's a tornado, it's going to be there. I don't see any evidence of anything north of that. So again, your unstable areas down to the south. So go over to radar and show you. And the tornado warning, that is until 3:45. And tornadoes near Kennebush right now moving northeast of 30 miles per hour. So that's forward speed on that. So let's go back over to radar and show you what we've got. Let's go down into Sumter. So we're going to stay here until this warning expires. Ryan, you know, I would be willing to bet that this is not going to be a full duration tornado warning. I think it's going to move north of that boundary too. I
will have to agree with you on that one. That boundary is set up there in between Cuba and York and places eastward, so that tornado warning extends beyond that. And as we've been seeing with this boundary, it hasn't really moved much over the past hour or so. So we are seeing that storm move into that boundary area. So we cannot rule out the tornado as of right now, as that tornado warning has been issued. So everyone in southern Sumter County should be taking shelter right now. But that boundary is very close to that storm.
Yeah, so once it gets north of there, this storm will fizzle out. There's Kennebush there, Gaston there. That's Highway 17 that runs out of Butler, that runs into Sumter County. It's going to be extreme northwest Choctaw County. This will not include Pennington or Myrtlewood or Jefferson, any part of Marengo County. This is a small polygon that includes Sumter County for York. All the way down Highway 17, you see right there, that's Gaston. There's the county line of Choctaw and Sumter. There's Cuba, Old Dove area there, and that's Livingston. Let me put on the warning. I just want to show you where the polygon is with this storm. There it is, a very small polygon. In fact, technically it does not include York or Cuba. It's a very small part of Sumter County underneath this tornado warning. It's going to cross U.S. Highway 80. That's Highway 28, the cutoff that goes over to Livingston, that cuts off of Highway 80. That's where your possible tornado is going to go. I want to put on the lightning. The Weather Service office in Birmingham mentioning an uptick in the lightning amount. And yeah, you can see a bit of an uptick there compared to about 5-10 minutes ago. So we are seeing more lightning, which means the updraft is stronger. And given there is some wind shear, there is a possibility this could produce a tornado. So again, it's moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. So let's do a track on this thing, show you where it's going. So a possible tornado in southern Sumter County. So let's pan this thing off towards the northeast. And tell you what, let me zoom out just a little bit. And while we do that, I want to check too with Ryan if you have any updates, Ryan, of what all's going on. I haven't seen anything from this storm. It's been eerily quiet. I know we got somebody down there looking at this thing.
Yeah, we haven't had any reports here in the chat room or anything on the storm, just that tornado warning that has been issued, that very, very small polygon there in southern Sumter County. Though we need to take this seriously because at any moment a tornado could drop out of the storm. With that increase in lightning, we are seeing that possibility of intensification with the storm. That rotation can wrap up at any second.
Yeah, and I don't want you to let your guard down. I know our tone is not very serious with this storm. There could easily be a tornado here. We know that, but this doesn't look like a long track, violent type of tornado. This may be a brief tornado touchdown, but as Ryan said, look, it doesn't matter. You know, if it's an EF0, it can tear apart a mobile home. It can be a threat to life and property with falling trees on your home. So understand, even an EF0 can be a dangerous tornado. So we want you to take things serious. And as always, out of a mobile home, site-built structure or storm shelter is always the best word of advice to get into if there is a tornado down with that. I do want to do a track and show you, and obviously if you're going to be driving, I would stop. If you're heading west of Demopolis, just hang out in Demopolis for a while. If you're coming east out of Cuba, hang out there for a little while, gas station, restaurant, just wait till this thing passes by, because there's a possibility there could be a tornado there. And again, I say possibility because this is not a confirmed tornado. We don't see screaming evidence there is a tornado, but there is the chance there could be one down. So it's moving northeast at, what was that, 30 miles per hour, Ryan? I believe the speed was on that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Let me check really quick. 30, yes.
Okay. So 30 miles per hour on the forward speed of this possible tornado. And again, just checking with the National Weather Service office here in Birmingham and reports we have. I do want to mention, too, I know there's some people that can't watch us on TV in Sumter County. Technically, it's part of the Meridian TV market, but we're on cable systems down there. So we go on. If you can see us, we will go on air for you. So I'm going to keep an eye on Facebook Live, and I believe, Steve, you're back in the control room, I believe. Okay, yeah, and I see you are keeping an eye on Facebook Live, too. So if you see something, just talk in my ear. Hey, tell you what, Ryan, the rotation of this thing may be ramping up just a bit.
Yeah, I think it is starting to approach that boundary. And this storm earlier was moving at around 40, 45 miles an hour. So as it does approach that boundary, it's going to slow down in the process. But I think it is starting to ride that boundary there in southern Sumter County.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, if you're in Kennebush, we need you in shelter now. This thing may drop a tornado now that it's interacting with that boundary. Again, there's the Derby area, Lolita there, Moortown, and again, you see Belmont at the very edge of the polygon, or in terms of our fan, I think it's outside technically the polygon. But here are the times of arrival. These are computer estimated. So you got Kennebush at 3:16, which is very close to now, shelter now. Ward at 3:21, Gaston at 3:25 there, Derby, and keep going down the list, and that's what you got. Those are the times of arrival, what time this potential tornado could be there. So let's watch this. I think this thing may be about to produce something, Ryan. It's right on that boundary. Let me clear this off. Let's look at the velocity signature. We see the darker, deep coloration from Birmingham. I think I'm looking at it from Mobile. So I'm looking at it from Mobile behind the scenes here. So let me pan off towards the south. And you see it right there. Look at that.
Jackson is showing an impressive one as well.
Okay.
I'm seeing get-to-get shear of around 80 miles an hour.
That's it right there. So again, if you're in Kennebush, you need to be sheltered now. It's going to be crossing Highway 17 within the next 10 to 15 minutes, generally below the Cuba area. I'm going to check out Mobile's perspective, and I can't quite see it from there. So again, from Jackson, we can clearly see evidence of a tornado here in Sumter County. Moving into South Sumter County, this is clearly north of Listman. This will not impact Pennington. If you are at Georgia Pacific, the paper mill there on the Tombigbee River on the Choctaw County side, this will not impact that area. This is going to be clearly to your west, but again, it's going to move into southern portions of Sumter County. And it's going to be south of Cuba. Go ahead.
We have John DeBlock here reporting on the National Weather Service chat room saying that there may be something down there on the county line right now around County Road 6 there in southern Sumter County right now.
So, yeah, there could be a tornado in the process of touching down. If you are in Ward, we need you in shelter now. Highway 9, County Road 9 there, shelter now. The Rosser area, that's what we're talking about for a potential tornado that could be in the process of touching down. Again, the storm, it started losing those tornado characteristics, but then it's interacting with this boundary. So I think we're going to see this thing wrap up, produce a brief tornado, and then once it gets north of that boundary, the tornado is going to die. So I don't think this is going to be a long tracker, but it will be one that we need to carefully monitor. So let me bring you in real tight. Again, you're going to see communities pop up on your screen. There's Kennebush there. You need to be in shelter. You should have been in shelter a while back. That is Highway 17. There's a little community ward right there. Your possible tornado is going to be directly over the Sumter Choctaw County line. This is Choctaw County at the bottom of your screen. This is Sumter County right here. Kennebush Ward, you're in the path of this potential tornado. And Ryan, too, are you watching the debris tracker, too, with this storm?
Yes, I'm also watching the debris tracker. It's very, very cloudy, as you can see there on the debris tracker, so it's very messy. So we really can't tell if anything is on the ground there in southern Sumter County there by Kinterbish or Ward right now, but it could possibly spin up very briefly. These aren't going to be very long track, as that boundary is literally right there on top of them.
Yeah, and talking with Christopher Vaughn there in Sumter County, he is, unfortunately, I don't have anybody down there to be able to see that or not. Okay. So this storm, you know, it's got a history of producing a tornado. We saw that back in Mississippi near Quitman. So it's a storm that needs to be watched. It's one that's on that boundary now that could produce a tornado. You're looking at the debris tracker there. I want to put on, tell you what, let's look at Mobile's radar. I just want to look at the reflectivity. I want to see how this thing looks. It's terrible, unfortunately. Again, just curious, Ryan, what is the radar beam from Birmingham's perspective in southern Sumter? I don't have that pulled up over here.
Southern Sumter. Let me check for Birmingham. It's about 10,000 feet.
Gosh. Oh, we need a radar down here so bad.
Your best bet is out of Jackson, where it's around 7,500.
So Jackson's going to give us the best bet.
Yes. That rotation is tightening up once again in southern Sumter County, just north of Kinterbish there, around Ward.
Okay, so the Weather Service, thankfully, is using side of caution in issuing a tornado warning. Number one, based off the environment, that there is wind shear down here. And number two, this thing has a history of producing a tornado back in Clark County, Mississippi. So, again, the Weather Service, with caution, issuing a tornado warning. I know it's hard to see structure down here. It's so hard to tell if there's a tornado there or not because the radar beam's so high off the ground. But again, we need a tornado warning for this storm because it could produce a tornado, and may be doing that right now.
I would like to add, if you are in Ward, the community of Ward right now, you need to be in your safe place. That rotation is continuing to tighten up. As I can see there on your radar, Richard, the rotation hasn't tightened up on yours yet. That's a few scans old. I have about 2 scans ahead of you on the velocity couplet, and the velocity couplet is starting to wrap up a little bit more there. In southern Sumter County, just near Ward.
Okay, so yeah, Ward, you need to be in shelter now.
Rapidly intensifying the new scan. Ward, get into your safe place right now. Anywhere in between Ward and Alabama, Highway 17 needs to be in their safe place right now.
All right, so we've got a dangerous thunderstorm that could easily produce a tornado right now in Sumter County. This is in far southern portion of Sumter County. This is coming up on the Ward area. This is a storm that could easily drop a tornado. It's moving off towards the northeast at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. So again, a dangerous storm that's over Kinterbish and approaching Ward now with tight evidence of rotation moving off towards the northeast at a pretty good clip now. So we need you in shelter. Tell you what, let's put on the hazard display there. Yeah, there's a new update right there. Let's see if anything pops up here. We know this thing's rotating. Let's put back on the velocity signature. There it is right there, Ryan.
Yes,
it's over Ward now.
An extremely strong couplet now over Ward. So Ward, get in your safe place right now.
So, and again, this is the intersection of Highway 80 and Highway 17. That's York now. This is going to be just on the south side of York. If you're on Highway 17, if you are driving south of York, pull over now, stop, let the storm pass by. It's going to move through quick. It's not going to last very long, but we clearly have strong evidence of a tornado down here. And again, this near the Sloan community. That's on Highway 17 and Highway 80 interchange. That's the Highway 28 and Highway 80 intersection, or the turnoff to Highway 28 runs north to Livingston. Highway 80 runs east-west towards the Saltwell community, back towards the west of that. If you are at that interchange of Highway 80 and Highway 28, that split off that turns up to Livingston, stop there. Don't go west of that on 80. I know you may not be able to hear our warning, but if you know somebody that lives out here, or if you know somebody that's driving on Highway 80, perhaps they're going to Meridian, perhaps they're coming back home from Meridian, tell them pull over, let the storm pass by. This is a dangerous thunderstorm that could be dropping a tornado right now. And again, still seeing strong evidence of rotation. Ryan, I think it's right on that boundary. That's why this thing's wrapped up so fast like that. So again, as it interacts with that warm front, Typically, these things can spin up. They can drop a tornado quickly, and I think that's what's happening now. We don't have confirmation of a tornado, but I'm telling you, I bet it's one down right now in Sumter County. Again, this moved just north of the Choctaw County line. Highway 17 is about to cross 17 now, moving off towards the northeast, a pretty good clip. Let me tell you what, let's look at the debris tracker. Let's just look at this together. It's too noisy to see anything there. Put it on the velocity because that's the more screaming evidence. And there you go, right there, your possible tornado. And again, this is not a confirmed tornado, but I'm telling you with a high level of confidence, there may be one down. This is going to be moving northeast. It's going to cross Highway 28 between Livingston and the turnoff from 80 up 28. So again, I don't think that's going to hit Livingston. I think it's going to stay south of there. Let's put on the warning polygon. Just want to show you that. And again, there's your tornado warning, and it would be interesting to see if the Weather Service decides to extend that tornado warning or not past the polygon because, you know, I think once this thing gets north of that boundary, it's got to be somewhere in that boundary. Once it gets north of there, I think this thing weakens rapidly. I don't think it'll make it all the way to the Tombigbee River. Now, that being said, let's watch it. Storms can change. Storms do things that are unexpected. We say that all the time. So I feel confident that will happen, but if you live downstream of this tornado warning polygon, past 28, let's watch it, be ready to take action in case something does come your way. I do want to show everybody quickly out there because I know there is other people watching for other parts of Alabama. I do want to remind you that we are also on Facebook Live, so let me zoom out. Ryan, the structure of this thing, I don't think it can hold together much longer.
I doubt it will. It's right on that boundary. That boundary is set up in between Cuba and York and literally rides Highway 17 down into Choctaw County.
We can see it. I mean, you watch every storm that has crossed it. As soon as it crosses, it loses that unstable air and it turns into rain. But
this couplet is continuing to strengthen as well.
It's still there.
It's still there, and it's approaching Highway 17 there, north of Ward, south of the interchange of Alabama Highway 17 and US 80 there in Sumter County.
It is amazing how this thing is holding together. Again, I would say 10 more minutes it'll be north of that boundary, but look, we see storms do strange things all the time. This thing, if the boundary can get kicked north, it'll ride that boundary, but if not, it's going to cross and fizzle out. I don't think it's going to make it all the way to Greene County. I don't think it's going to cross the Tombigbee River, but right now there certainly could be a tornado down, so we need to be in shelter. While you hear me say that, please understand, right now there could be a tornado down. While we say we don't think it'll be down very long, doesn't mean, hey, that's not a big deal. Let's go about our normal activities. There's a tornado there. I think there's a tornado there with that. Weather Service office are going to find tornado damage. They're going to survey it. I can almost guarantee there will be tornado damage under that couplet. It's too tall of a tornado, too tall of a couplet to not have something down based off this environment we're in and the fact that there's a boundary it's on top of. So again, let me show everybody out there, if you are anywhere in West Alabama, north of Greensboro, all rain. South of there, that's where we're still concerned about a severe weather potential. But again, north of that, everything's rain. There's no threat of severe weather. There could be some flooding issues for cities like Tuscaloosa and Fayette and Jasper, but in terms of a tornado, it's going to stay down there. And did something change,
Richard,
Ryan?
that couplet has almost completely diminished.
Goodness.
Over one scan of the radar, it is almost completely gone.
One day, I'm going to write a book, Ryan, about what storms do on top of boundaries, and when they get across it, they die.
Yeah,
you got to think of a good title.
And once it crossed Highway 17 there in Sumter County, it completely fizzled.
That is incredible.
Incredible.
So we know where the boundary is. Right now, your warm front is right there. If you're north of it, it's cool. If you're south of it, it's warm and unstable. But now let's keep in mind this thing could cycle one more time. I have a hard time believing it will, but it's possible it could cycle and produce another brief tornado. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's not totally out of the question. So again, we still have a tornado warning there for Sumter County. Let's still stay in shelter. All right, so if you are all the way to the Highway 28 turnoff, between Livingston and Highway 80. I know the polygon doesn't go that far, but if you're in this little square part of Sumter County, let's stay sheltered. Again, this is north of the Choctaw County line, Highway 17 that runs to the north there. That is Highway 80. That's the interchange of Highway 17 and Highway 80. And that's what we're looking at there. I'm seeing Christopher Vaughn's reporting power outages in Sloan there. So there are some power outages just below York. Again, we think a tornado touched down. Don't know how strong it was. Hopefully people were in their storm shelter. The Weather Service office in Birmingham did a great job issuing that tornado warning. They called it. They knew it was going to happen. It hits that boundary, drops the tornado. Now it's north of it, and the tornado begins to dissipate. But based off the structure of this thunderstorm, I don't think it's going to do much more than that. Let's look at the lightning output. I'm just curious. Let's see what we've got. Still got a little bit of lightning being produced. You see a little core lightning that happened about 6, 7, 8 minutes ago. I think that's when we had the tornado down. Now we still have a couple of strikes here and there, but there's not as much as what we just saw. So, again, Sumter County below Livingston, let's stay sheltered just for a little bit longer. They're going to continue the tornado warning until 3:45, so another 20 minutes, Ryan, on that. So, again, they're going to continue the tornado warning for Sumter for another 20 minutes or so until 3:45. That's the time on that warning. This thing may be out of the warning polygon by then. So we'll see if the Weather Service office will decide to continue that or not. There's your warning polygon. Hey, I see a tornado warning down to the south. What is that down there?
I think that was just I think that's just the old tornado warning that Mobile issued.
So they haven't canceled officially a tornado warning out of Choctaw.
They have not.
Look at the velocity. I want to see if there's anything screaming down here of another tornado. And again, I don't see anything down here in Choctaw County. Let's go down to the south. See that one to the west of Waynesboro. Has that got a tornado warning? Have you?
Let me
I can pull it up over
see.
here
By Waynesboro, yes, that one does have a tornado warning on it.
There you go. So again, a tornado warning down there, but again, that's probably going to stay south of our coverage area, most likely. I don't think it's going to make it too much further off towards the north. So again, let me show you a couple of things here. This is a look from, hold on. Okay, so Christopher Vaughn down in Sumter County, they've got a unit down there that's coming from Ward area. They are on County Road 10. They're looking for damage. So far, no damage they have seen. I bet they're going to find something down there, whether it crossed 10 or another road. But again, we think a tornado may have briefly touched down in southern Sumter. 61 to Tuscaloosa, we're cool and stable. Fayette, cool and stable. No sign of a tornado there. Obviously, no tornado conditions in that part of Alabama. Tornado watch continues for Sumter, Greene, Hale Perry, Dallas, Wilcox, Marengo, and Clark County, Choctaw County. But again, I can say with confidence, I really think if you are in Greene County, Hale County, or Perry County, I don't think there's much of a tornado threat with you. All right. So that's the latest on that. Tornado warning does continue for that small polygon there in Sumter County. Let me go back over to radar. I do want to look at a couple things real quick, Ryan, before we totally let our guard down here.
Christopher Vaughn just gave a report saying the power is out at Alabama Highway 17 and Wright Road there in Sloan, I believe.
Okay, so that's where it crossed.
Yes, just there in southern Sumter County, where we saw that tighten up almost instantly.
Exactly where it crossed.
Yep.
Now, I mean, that's unofficial. We don't know for sure if it was a tornado, but most likely probably what caused that based off of that. I know they're checking to get information. Is there any trees down on power lines or what happened? Obviously, other things can cause power outages. Then, a tornado could be a falling tree from straight line winds. Could be a squirrel got in a transformer or something. I don't know. Anything like that can happen. But again, in that spot, that makes sense to where there could have been a tornado touchdown. Storm's still got some intensity to it, so let's watch it carefully as it moves off towards the northeast. It could cycle and try to drop another tornado, but anything up here, there's no sign of anything dangerous other than a rain issue, and there could be some flooding. But I will say this, Ryan, the radar reflectivity is not overly impressive up here, so I do think any flooding will be the slow type in terms of stream flooding and river. I don't know if that's going to be enough to cause flash flooding.
No, I think the main concern is now with the aerial flood advisory, which is more of a long-term event rather than the flash flood watch that's currently in effect for most of western and central Alabama. We have this heavier rain falling in Tuscaloosa right now. Not heavy enough to produce that flash flooding that you were talking about, but we are seeing those reds and yellows start to pop up here in Tuscaloosa.
Okay, and for folks joining us on Facebook Live and on TV, it is now 3:30. Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott, Ryan Larmue here with us as well. We are on air and online with a tornado warning that had been issued for Sumter County about 30 minutes ago, I believe that warning was issued. So again, the reason we're on air is because of a tornado warning. We believe we had a brief tornado touchdown in the community of Ward or near Ward in South Sumter County. And we are watching that storm with great interest as it still has the potential to produce a tornado, although the rotation has significantly weakened with that storm. In fact, looking at the velocity, I don't see anything at all.
You see that rotation is completely gone.
So most likely this thing has gotten north of the boundary and is no longer in a tornado-favored environment. So let's go back down into this thing. This is a radar loop of how this thing looks, and I'm just watching. And Ryan, if you want to look at this thing with me here, if you look at the DBZ in the last 30 minutes, a 30-minute radar loop, DBZ is just a measure of reflectivity. It's how much rain's fallen within this thunderstorm, and you're beginning to see these colors really lighten up some. You know, initially you had those deeper dark reds. Now we're just seeing kind of lighter shade of red, just like the storms earlier that moved into Sumter County from just north of that location. Most likely this thing is beginning to weaken just like they did. So tornado warning technically for another 15 minutes for Sumter. I don't think there's a tornado there anymore. So let's just do a radar tour and show you other parts of the area. We've got rain falling quite heavily now up and down the Tombigbee River, Gainesville, up to the Carrollton area, Aliceville. I know that's outside the Tombigbee, but again, you've got rain there. Tombigbee River crosses about right there near Pickensville. Ethelsville, reform up on 82, got heavy rain falling. Fayette, rain falling quite heavily all over Fayette County. Tuscaloosa County, again, there's no tornado risk here. There's just rain falling. Looks like the intensity of rain is beginning to pick up just a bit, and there could be some what we call slow flooding. Don't think we're going to have a major flash flooding issue unless we have a heavier storm come in, but again, that should be a general moderate to occasionally heavy rainfall. Up to the north, Parrish, Nauvoo, we're dealing with rain now, and again, Jefferson County got rain falling there as well. So again, the bottom line is we have one storm of concern that is down over Sumter County, but I do not see anything else of concern. Even approaching Marengo County. Let's go down there and show you what's happening down to the south. And again, this storm here continues to weaken and lose sign of organization. I doubt there's a tornado still there. I don't see anything to the south that's approaching Marengo County. All this just rainfall. Let's put on the Mobile radar just to be sure. So a lot of folks are watching us in Marengo County. Yeah, I don't see anything down there. This west of Waynesboro, I'd be willing to bet this thing begins to weaken too. It seems like these storms are just in a weakening phase lately. But again, a possible tornado west of Waynesboro, Mississippi, that could move into southern Choctaw County. And then this stuff down to the south, this is well south of anything that would impact our county area in South Mississippi. And that's about it. Ryan, things are looking a little better for our area.
Yes, it's looking a whole lot better for our area, and that's some great news. All we have to deal with is the heavy rain for the next few hours here, and by the end of the night, we should be clear of all weather and starting to cool off.
All right, it's now 4 o'clock on this Wednesday. Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott got Ryan Larmue here with us as well. And the good news is there's no warnings to report at this time. The tornado warning for Sumter County had earlier had been allowed to expire. We've had, quite frankly, several tornado warnings in Sumter County and West Alabama, but everybody else so far remaining free of those red polygons. We got the flood watch in effect for our area. And still the tornado watch continues until 8 p.m. for Sumter, Greene, Hale, Perry, and Marengo counties and points south down to the Gulf Coast region. So we have been monitoring trends carefully over the past several hours, and so far it looks like cool, stable air has taken over much of central Alabama. Temperature 59 at Fayette, that's the 5 for Cam. 61 at Bryant-Denny and Tuscaloosa. The wind is out of the east at 10 miles per hour. Again, that is not a warming wind. Typically need that out of the south to get that warm air advection. And again, here's a look at radar. What's left of that storm that was earlier tornadic is coming up on the Forkland area in southern Greene County. We see no screaming evidence of a tornado at the moment. Down to the south in Marengo County, I see no evidence of anything approaching you as well. But again, for cities like Tuscaloosa and Birmingham, Jasper, and Fayette, we've got a lot of rain happening, but I don't see any evidence of a tornado in those areas. Again, we are stable. The unstable air is just down to the south. So again, I'm going to take you in tight to some of the storms we got in our southern counties. And let's just look at this together, make sure there's no sign of anything becoming better organized. We'll start you off just west of Demopolis. And again, you see we've got these thunderstorms still ongoing around the Livingston area. That's Utah. Forkland, we got heavy rain, but I don't see any sign of a tornado with any of that. Again, this is just to the northwest of Demopolis. This is all tracking off towards the northeast. All this is now north of that one front that's kind of stalled out to our south. Tuscaloosa, rain is falling all over Tuscaloosa County. Some of this is fairly heavy. We'll see those rain totals likely add up quite a bit. And again, let's span things out back towards the west, and the rain becomes more spotty back in Mississippi. We've got some moderate areas of rainfall, but in terms of very heavy rain, I don't see any sign of that. Again, just checking with the National Weather Service office in Birmingham, and no reports in terms of current issues, but we do have some reports of damage, Ryan, that's coming from Sumter County. Looks like we're beginning to get some of that damage reported from the storm we had earlier.
Yes, we are. We are seeing reports of trees down, roof damage to a few homes there in Sumter County, just north of Sumter County Road 10 and just south of, or just on Sumter County, or County Road 9 there in southern Sumter County. So structural damage is being shown there by the chief down, Christopher Vaughn there in Sumter County.
Yeah, now, is this a home damage, Ryan? Have you seen anything with that, or is this
I'm seeing that there's structural damage on Alabama Highway 17 to a home and a barn.
Okay.
Around Wright Road and Alabama 17.
Okay, so we are starting to see some damage. No word of injuries or anything of that nature, but we'll continue to watch that. Again, that's coming from southern Sumter County. We think we had a tornado touchdown briefly. I don't think it's one down for a long time, but we do think there was one down at least for a little while in Sumter County. But again, just a wide view show you everybody out there. We have rain and thunder happening across most of central Alabama. All of this will slowly slide off towards the east over the next several hours, bringing an end to this rain event. Again, still monitoring our southern counties south of Tuscaloosa. Again, the risk of severe weather is low. Not zero, but the risk of additional severe weather is fairly low in that part of Alabama. So again, we'll go back over to the program. We'll be back here at 4:30 for a quick live severe weather update. And then you can join us for 5 o'clock news coming up. If we have a tornado warning, we'll be on TV and on Facebook Live. We'll see you in about 25 minutes.